pressed it.
Live.
Are we live?
We're live.
We're live
Good morning.
on Facebook. Good morning, everybody. I'm James Lamplow, and this is Mr. Mark Novak, world famous real estate agent.
So,
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
good, buddy. Property prices, 10 years.
Why does property go in cycles, Mark? Why?
Well, look, everyone's asking at the moment, and we've got 50 agents in the office, and out of all the agents in the office, the most commonly asked question that we get asked is, mate, it's just not going to happen. Do you reckon, Mr. Real Estate Agent, that it is possible for property prices to double over the next 10 years, given the economic climate that we're currently in the eye of the storm?
Have you seen, Mark, in the last 10 years, or maybe 20 years, or 30 years, or 40 years before, have you ever seen a 10-year cycle where the prices have actually doubled?
Always.
Always.
Yep. So guys and girls, that's it. Go ahead.
If you didn't, it'd be bucking the curve, and it would actually be more rare.
You know what? We've had people in the eye of the storm. People can't find it hard to remember other storms, but we've had recession, we've had depressions, we've had wars,
Pandemics.
we've had this pandemic, we've had GFC 1, we've had GFC 2, and every single time property always comes back strong and doubles.
Well, that's right. Property seems to hold the fort for the economy, doesn't it? For the most part, during these troubled times, wherever they come back, it always seems to be the most resilient part of the market.
And look, I think James, it's not by chance. And I think that one of the factors of property is economic crises. That's one of probably many factors, and the other factors are just so strong and so overwhelming that they keep supporting property. It's our biggest asset class in our country. It's bigger than stocks. It's bigger than gold. It's the biggest way that Australians hold and manage their wealth. And there's a reason for that.
It's quite amazing to think. It doesn't seem like a long time, but 10 years will go like that. If you can make some smart investments, it's going to put you in good stead moving forward in life, isn't it?
It is, and you're not spending it. It's very easy to, if it's a stock, it's easy to trim. Yeah. It's easy to sell 10% and spend 10% of the value because it's risen. Yeah. You can actually do it the same day.
Yeah, right. So would you say something like the stock market is a far, far riskier side? Obviously, you can have extreme profitability in there, but you're thinking stability in the real estate long-term game is the way to go.
Well, look, stocks have proven to perform better than property.
Yeah.
But we habitually, with people's habits, property supports growing wealth better. Yeah. So, for instance, if you were stuck with a mortgage for some stocks, it doesn't really sit well in your gut to be paying $1,000 or $2,000 a month off on your stock mortgage or your stock debt. Shouldn't call it mortgage. And you wouldn't do that for 20 years, or you wouldn't do that for 30 years. But when it's the roof that's over the top of your head, it's just something that we're programmed to do, and we're programmed to support. So again, that's just another factor another element of why people continue to support and invest in property. Look, another one is that, and you've also got property all over the country. So you've got different states with different property styles of properties, and everyone is very proud of their own state.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the banter you hear through different states?
Well, that's right.
So what do everyone's like, Queensland, oh, it's great for lifestyle, but again, you said, because with making money out of property, you make it in two ways. You make it in rent, or which is your yield, or you're making in capital, which is how much the actual value of the property has gone up. So Queensland tricks you because Queensland makes a little bit more rent, a bit more yield, but over a 5 or 10 year period, it doesn't grow like Sydney grows. You got Melbourne, you got Western Australia, you got Northern Territory, you got all these other areas of Australia.
Yeah. And do you think with the urbanization and sort of globalization that's occurring more outside of the capitals and more in remote and previously less popular destinations, the prices are now rising? Do you think those outside of the capitals will find the same growth as well? Or do you feel there's still far more risk with those associations?
I do. I do reckon out of CBDs is going to do better. So I had the conversation the other day about capital growth with a client, and what they're noticing is that Northern, actually Margaret I had the conversation with as well in our office, and she said, I've noticed a lot of people coming to rent from the city, from Neutral Bay, from Mossman, moving to the beaches.
Yeah.
And then equally, she's saying, I'm actually noticing clients that are actually moving out of the northern beaches and going to Newcastle, Gosford, further up north. So there is this more for this transition where people are choosing lifestyle over. And I think that's going to support capital growth, to answer your question.
Yeah, right. Well, it's interesting, isn't it, with what's been going on at the moment in the last couple of months, and the way people have been. We talk about it primarily in the commercial side of things, Mark, with office spaces and social distancing and compliance with these new rules. But actually, it's not just the corporate side of the world that's being impacted by it, but you see people moving out of the CBD so that they can, might be moving to somewhere like the Northern Beaches, but then that lifestyle kick takes over and, getting out of the Northern Beaches, and a lot of people moving up to the Central Coast, up to Queensland, lots of other places for lifestyle over work and everything else. So, yeah, it's interesting. It depends on what you're really wanting from life, isn't it?
It definitely does. And look, if you've just tuned in, what we're talking about is property prices doubling over the next 10 years ahead of us. Some people would say impossible. Some people would say possible, because that's what it's always done. Something that I want everyone to think about who's watching is the pattern of property is not just it's underpinned by a lot of different factors.
Yeah.
So when it's very easy to entertain the economic factor, and just look at that in isolation and explain and say that is why property is not going to perform purely because of COVID or the economy not doing well. But what people really have to also remember is all of the other factors of why people are living in Sydney, for instance, and in the area and is in the areas they're living. Because I can tell you guys that definitely, if you look at even, it sounds really weird, but I look at property like I look at basic instincts of people and why people do what they do. So even climatically, Sydney is a superior city to all other cities in Australia. Climatically, it doesn't get too hot. It doesn't get too cold. That's a big reason for people to be attracted to a city. It's a big enough reason for people to be attracted to the city. And even though you're going against the odds with an economy sometimes for a year or two, climatically, the suburb, that city will still actually do very, very well because it's just the right temperature. It's not snowing. It's
very enticing.
Hey?
It's very enticing, isn't it?
That's it. And not only that, but then that starts attracting businesses for that reason, because businesses can operate more effectively because they can, even logistically with production or manufacturing and stuff like that. If you're not dealing with snowstorms, 365 days a year that you're going to be producing your steel fabrication or whatever that is. So climatically, I think people realize you got to look at that basic instinct for capital growth. Another win for Sydney and why that does well. What about you? What do you notice why people would move to Sydney? You're from the UK. What's another reason?
I must have had this conversation 1,000 times with you, Mark. I'm not from the UK. I just sound like it. No, look, it's interesting that
when you were in the UK,
when I was in the UK, I see. The migrant or the immigrant or what am I? I'm a bit in between. No, look, people migrate in and out for all sorts of different reasons, and you know, it's for family reasons, for personal reasons. I suppose that comes under family.
Yep.
For mine, it was for personal reasons coming back into Australia. From over living in the UK for 10 or 12 years. So coming back to the Northern Beaches was something I had told myself from a very young age that I was always going to do. So it's just one of those things. You have your head or heart set on something, and you know, if you want to make that happen, you'll make that happen. So I think that crosses into quite a lot of things that are quite relevant at the moment, Mark. But look, I don't really know is the answer to that question. Everyone has their own different reasons, so it's impossible to say.
Well, we've got a big following. Like I think from Sydney, we've got a lot of people that head over from the UK. Probably number one would be people coming from the UK. We would get people coming from different Asian countries. We will get people coming sometimes from America. And when I speak to people, and the reason they're actually moving in, which again is underpinning why I believe there's going to be capital growth good capital growth over the next 10 years, possibly double, those things haven't changed. Do you know what I mean? So the reason why people are migrating into Australia have not changed. So if you speak to people coming from the UK, they love the climate.
Yeah.
They love it's an easy speak country. They can speak the language. They don't have to get around another language.
Yep.
Great
living conditions.
Right. Then you speak to Asian countries, they love the freedom, they love the political system.
Yeah.
They love that it's different to a communist run sort of country. They love the climate again. They love the education's probably above all of those.
Yeah.
So our education system is excellent. So all of these things that these people are attracted to Australia for haven't changed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the capital growth looks like you just vomited in your mouth.
I coughed. I didn't want to cough on camera.
But you know what I mean? Like those things, and I know when people talk about COVID, it's like, no, look, we've had a really hard economic time. We're taking on $1 billion of billions of dollars of debt. This is terrible, but fundamentally the strong things the things that make our property market strong are just not interest rates or just not the pandemic and the economy. It's all of those things that are actually underpinning. So the schooling's excellent in New South Wales and Sydney. The climate is excellent, and you can see people all over the world vote with their money. Also, where we sit in the continent,
excuse me.
As a continent, where we sit, I think we're a little bit like Switzerland.
Yeah, right. Okay, it's an interesting comparison.
So we're like the Switzerland of Asia. So that helps our property market because what actually happens is we are known to be safe. We are known to have a great political system, even though we may bag it out all the time.
Yeah.
It's when you start coupling all these things that I've mentioned in today's show, they are the things that contribute to property values doubling every 10 years.
Sure.
They haven't changed for 50 years.
Right. That's interesting. So, Mark, to finish off, prices, are they going to double in the next 10 years? As an investor, as a first-home buyer, what sort of things are you going to be looking out for to be sure that in 10 years' time, your investment is going to maybe not double, but it's going to get up somewhere along those lines? What are the things we're looking for when we're purchasing a place with that long-term plan?
Water, proximity to water, proximity to a CBD.
Right, okay. And
so worldwide, they're the two things that people have always chased. They will chase being close to a city, and they will chase being close to water being beach or harbour or lake. People love it. They love it. They love the lifestyle. And I know at the beginning of the show I said people are getting away from the CBD. They are, but they're not getting away like 3 hours. It's that inner rung that's probably deleted, and now people are moving a little bit to that next rung out. If I allow me to give you an example with Sydney, places like Mossman, Manly, places like Northbridge,
very
Mascot,
exclusive but very accessible.
Very accessible. So, and I think they're not dwelling as hard in that CBD. They've learnt a little bit about lifestyle.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh, well, there you go. Do you have anything else to say this morning, Mark?
That's it. I do. And again, just the nuggets of what we've to close off on what we've spoken about today. How are you, Michelle? The things that we've spoken about today, will property values continue to increase even after the pandemic and even after taking on this huge economic debt? My point of view is that fundamentally the assets that our state has and our country have are still there. Those assets of our harbour, it's beautiful. The assets of our climate, it doesn't, we don't have earthquakes. We don't have, tremors, tsunamis, where we're not snowing in Sydney. It's easy to conduct business 365 days a year. Our education system is always attractive internationally. We are positioned well internationally. We're known to be a good country. We're an English-speaking country, which gives us an advantage worldwide over other countries, particularly when the Eastern world is trying to educate their children. If they're of Asian background, they want their kids to get a little bit of Western culture. They'll send their kids to Sydney to get a degree, to get a great education, and to learn a little bit of the Western way, English speaking, how things work. So all those things are elements that are going to underpin our great property market, and they're not being taken away from us. That's my summary.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mark. Great stuff. I wish I could see the comments up here, but I don't have it this morning. But thank you very much. Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. Giddy up.
Fantastic.
Thanks, legend.
Thanks, mate. Have a great week.
Thanks, James. Cheers, mate. You too. Bye-bye.